Hello viewers, welcome to a lecture series on marketing management, and we have been discussing about promotion mix, and in this very lecture of mine on the same series, I would be extending our discussion about the communication models which we are using in advertising as well. So in the previous lecture of mine, I told you about the AIDA framework, or that is also called as AIDA model, which actually makes customer travel from the stage of unawareness to awareness, and then creating interest into that communication process, convincing them, which can convert their interest into desire, and eventually making them feel that they must act upon this entire communication, which means we want them to purchase the product. And eventually, to close the loop, there is another letter which is being added at a later stage, that is called satisfaction or loyalty, which means the customer must feel satisfied after buying your product, and that is something which you have to ensure, and for that we need to take feedback from them. So if I have to exemplify this AIDA model framework with the help of an advertisement which is being floated on a particular website. So if you are basically able to create able to draw attention of theirs, then of course the person will browse that particular website. So if you are able to draw the attention of a customer, the person will actually, the action will come in terms of browsing, that yes, the customer will see that what is there, whatever is there. The second is the interest, the third one is desire, fourth one is action. And when I say loyalty, it means after completing this action, that you have drawn the attention, customer could go through the website, then they had click that particular link, then they are reading that particular content because they are finding that content to be very attractive, and once they are finding it attractive and they are convinced, they would act, which means they are going to buy that particular product, or they will place order on that particular website. So action on website can tell you that whether your advertisement, a particular advertisement campaign, could draw attention of the customers or not, you could create interest or not, you could convince them or not, and eventually did they purchase in response to your advertisement or not. But the next time when they are visiting the same website for the same need, it means they are transforming themselves into a loyal customers, which is a testimony to the satisfaction which you have created. So next visit to the website means you are in the process of creating loyal customers. So this is called AIDA model framework, and this is the one of the most basic model of communication which is still in use by most of the advertisers. So advertisers, while floating their advertisement, they are using AIDA model of communication. There is another model called hierarchy of effects model, which was given by Levy and Steiner. We also call it a model which is telling you about the hierarchy of effects. So once a particular advertisement is being floated, what is the sequence of effect which your particular communication or advertisement is creating. So this particular model classifies the effects into three broad categories. One is cognitive stage, second one is affective stage, and third one is behavioral stage. So cognitive, affective and behavioral, these are three broad stages into this hierarchy of effects model. And in cognitive stage, basically you are again drawing customers or making your customers travel from unawareness to awareness, and then you are informing them about a particular offering. So in a way you are giving knowledge about a particular offering or about a product which you are going to sell. In affective stage, you have three important tasks to perform. So in hierarchy of effects, three important effects you are going to generate, that they should develop a liking, they should also develop a preference, then conviction. These three important effects must be visible at this stage when you are drawing your customer from cognitive stage to affective stage. And the last one is of course purchase, which belongs to the action orientation, or what you call as behavioral stage. So what we call this as hierarchy of effects model, if I have to define it, I would say from stage of unawareness to awareness, then liking, preference, loyalty, and eventually it leads to brand equity. So, if I have to define it like that what is the process of making a brand equity, it starts from the stage of unawareness, that customer has no idea about your product, you started informing, customer became aware, and after becoming aware and looking at your product, they started liking it, and once they liked it, of course they can give preference to your product vis-a-vis other options which are available in the market. And if they are very much confident about your product and they have started giving preference to it, they would buy it. And once they have bought it, and if after purchase also their preference or their level of satisfaction remains the same, they would actually emerge as a loyal customer. That is called brand loyalty. So, this is the only way of developing a loyal customer, or having a customers who are loyal to a particular brand or a particular offering. So, hierarchy of effects model is actually exhibiting the process of the impact of the process, that whatever advertisement you have floated, what is the hierarchy of effects. So, in what sequence this effect is going to come in front of us, wherein in case of AIDA model also we were finding that what are the steps of communicating about a specific product or a brand. Say for instance, you are communicating with regard to a specific brand, you are creating awareness, then interest, then desire, and eventually action. So, the way of putting the information may be different, but these two models are actually speaking to us the same thing, they are giving us the same idea, and the idea is that you want your customer to act according to your own wish. Now, coming to this hierarchy of effects model, let me explain to you what are the different effects which we are going to create with the help of a specific advertisement campaign. So, when we say awareness, the communicator's task is to build awareness, perhaps just name recognition with simple messages, that your brand name is coming, the logo is coming, and customer is able to recall that yes, this is the brand. So, we have to make them aware that this is also one of the options available for your this specific need. So, if you have some problem, out of the list of solutions whatever is available to you, our brand should also be there. So, we should first make them aware that we are there. So, consumers must become aware of the brand. So, our brand should find some recognition in the eyes of the customers, that this is not as straightforward as it seems. Of course, it is not as easy as I am speaking, that yes, consumers must become aware of the brand. You can't force them to recall our brand. You can simply communicate them that yes, this is one of the options available. And while communicating them about my specific offering, I should be very alert, I should be very vigilant, that my message must be drafted or floated in such a way that customer or potential consumers are bound to see that specific advertisement, that specific communication. They must the advertisement must have that capability that nobody should ignore it. You can't ignore it, because at times we while I talk, you find even in your classroom, at times we talk that there are certain students to whom we can never forget. And when I as a teacher go to my class, I always tell them that see, I am a kind of person who would always be with you. And when having said always be with you means, I would say that either you would keep me in your heart or I would keep me in your mind. So, but you can't ignore me. So, that is actually the confidence which with which I am speaking about myself. The same should be with the brand also, that people should not have should not ignore our brand. So, it must be designed in such a way, it must be targeted in such a way that nobody should ignore it. So, you have to actually make it a focus point to get consumers to become aware. So, first step is that you should make them aware, and for that of course the advertisement need to be very attractive, so that people should at least watch it once. And the second is knowledge. You have to inform the target audience about your product, about the benefits which your product is having. So, this stage involves creating brand knowledge. What are the brand specific appeals, what are the benefits, in what way it is different from that of our competitor brands, who is the target market for us. So, everything we need to summarize in such a way that customers should come to know that yes, this is the product which is available for my specific requirement. This is different from that of the competitors, that of the other brands which are available, and brand specific appeals must be communicated to them to spread knowledge, to create knowledge, to inform them about a particular product. And once they are aware of the benefits, of course, if the benefit is genuine and genuinely you are creating, you are having your unique selling propositions in place, then the target market, the target members will definitely start liking it. So, if consumer is somewhat unhappy and dissatisfied, it is necessary for you to first find a solution that why are they not happy with the specific product. So, they will only like once they are satisfied with that specific solution. So, whatever promises you have made while floating an advertisement that these are the features of the products, at ground level also those benefits must prevail, otherwise customers will not like. So, for liking you have to ensure that if my customers are not happy, they are not satisfied, what is the reason behind that, and we must fix it as soon as it is possible for us. The next is preference. Once they have started liking, if the liking is getting its maturity, it is transformed into preference. So, the target audience might like the product, but not prefer it to others. There are number of instances where customers are liking your product. They are liking that yes, the features are very strong, the benefits are very real, but they are not giving it preference over other brands. At times they feel that yes, it is somehow the similar to the other brands available or similar to what I have been using for long. So, in such situation the communicator must try to build consumer preference, and for that you should promote quality, you should promote value, performance and other features, and of course, you must talk about the unique selling proposition of your brand. So, if you really wish to create or establish preference, if you really wish to win the preference of the customers or the target audience, then of course, you will have to talk about unique selling proposition, that what different I am going to offer, what different am I offering to you as a product. So, the communicator needs to measure audience preference before and after the campaign, that before the advertisement what was their preference, and after the advertisement what happened. This we will study in detail when I will tell you about how to measure the effectiveness of advertising, because we have to understand that I had communicated communicated through a particular advertisement, whether it was effective or not. Since it involved huge amount of cost, it is my duty to understand that what is the benefit of this specific advertisement campaign, or if there is no benefit at all, what is the point of repeating that advertisement. We must change our track, we must change the way we are floating that advertisement. And once the customer is actually giving preference to you, the next stage is conviction. So, here a target audience may prefer a specific product, but they may not develop a conviction about buying it. I prefer it, I give preference to your product in relation to the other available brands, but I could not develop that conviction that I must buy it. So, the communicator has to make efforts for that, to build conviction among the target audience, that yes, they should feel that of course, this is the best option and we must buy it. And once that conviction is developed, the result is in front of us, that customer is going to buy your product. They would purchase, they would act. They would act according to the desire of advertiser or communicator per se. So, the convinced consumer may not engage in immediate purchase, they wait for more information or plan to act later. Sometimes you have completed your communication, your customers are convinced, they have developed that conviction also, but they defer their purchase for some time. So we should not get disappointed. We must keep a track of those customers or those segment of audiences where they are convinced with the idea, but the purchase may take some times. So we may motivate target consumers by offering the product at low prices, offering a premium to them, some extra quantity, or letting them evaluate and conduct trials prior to actual purchase. So these can be the supplements which we can use in addition to the advertisement in order to ensure that customers are acting according to the desire of marketer or advertiser. So having talked about hierarchy of effects model, I tried to give you an overview of what exactly this model says. The way it is listing, it is offering us a list of the hierarchy of the effects. That itself is self-explanatory, that this is the way a customer is traveling from the stage of unawareness to acting, which means unawareness to the stage of purchase, that you are so convinced about a product that you start purchasing it. So if I have to exemplify, I would say that in cognitive stage, communication messages are informative and they provide consumers with the facts. This could involve creating a pamphlet or a newsletter providing information about the service provider. So you are simply giving an advertisement. So in this stage, the example can be floating an advertisement, giving some information. When we talk about affective stage or when we relate it with the emotions, communication messages are designed to influence attitudes and feelings towards a brand or a specific offering. So this could be achieved by providing contact details for any queries, that if you have any query, any doubt, any problem with the product or the offering, you may contact. So in this way we are actually giving them an opportunity to speak about the product. And the third step is behavioral stage, where the motives are in front of us. Communication messages are designed to stimulate directions or desires. So you are giving an email address to them, that yes, you can give your feedback, or asking for direct feedback, that whatever experience you had with this specific advertisement or product, you may inform us about that. So this entire hierarchy of effects model is giving us a direction, that yes, this is the way the advertisement moves and its impacts are around. So we have to understand that this is a ideal procedure, this is a standard operating procedure, SOP, when we talk about floating an advertisement. So it is not confined to the basic communication model only. It can very much be used by advertisers, and we have been using it for long. So hierarchy of effect model is another model in the list of models of communication. The next one is Dagmar approach. Dagmar approach is very much used for evaluating the effectiveness of advertisement. It was given by Russell Colley, and Dagmar actually stands for defining advertising goal for measuring advertising results. So when we are defining advertising goals for doing the measurement of advertising results, we call it Dagmar. So this Dagmar approach was given by Russell Colley, and Colley was when this approach was developed, Colley must have had this point in his mind, that yes, I am going to evaluate the effectiveness of advertising. So it is basically an approach to ad planning, that you are having an advertising planning for quantifying goals. You are giving a quantified measurement of goals and using these goals to measure performance. So your goals are quantified, your goals are smart, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic and time bound. So you are having smart goals for yourself when you are floating an advertisement, and when you are quantifying those goals, then of course you can measure their performance on those parameters, that whether we could achieve that or not. So Dagmar is talking about first defining your advertising goals and then measure that whether you could achieve those goals or not. So in Dagmar it is very simple. There are two steps: you are defining advertising goals, and the second one is measuring advertising results. So you have whatever you have defined, you are evaluating its impact. So an advertising objective, if you ask me, I would say it involves a communication task. You are not doing anything different than communicating about your brand. And as I told you at the very outset, either you would inform, or you would persuade, or you would remind, depending upon the life cycle stage of the stage of your product in its life cycle. So at whatever stage you are, at whichever stage you are, accordingly either you would choose for informing. If you are at the initial stage, you have introduced your product, or it is in a growing stage. If you are at maturity, then of course you would go for the second one, that is persuading. And if you are having a fear of decline, then of course you are going to remind your customers about your offerings. So your objective involves a communication task. This advertising objective actually involves a communication task, which is intended to create awareness, impart information, develop attitudes, or induce action. So in Dagmar approach, if you ask me what is the communication process under Dagmar model, if I have to show it with a diagram, I would show it like this, that communication process under Dagmar model is like this, that a customer is unaware, you are making them aware, and once they are aware, you are making them comprehend and imagine the particular brand or offering a product, and accordingly their attitude is being built up or formed, and according to their attitude they are acting. So when I say attitude, if I have to define attitude, I would say attitude is basically a reflection of the way we react to a particular communication. So if something is coming to me, the way I take it up, that is my attitude. It can be positive, it can be negative. Attitude can be formed in both the ways. So we have to understand that communication process under Dagmar model is like this only: unawareness, awareness, comprehension and image, and then attitude and action. So at some point of time, we understand that the individual may be unaware of a product in the market. We assume that there must have been a point where customers were not aware of a particular product or a specific offering in the market. My brand is there, but there might be a possibility that customers are not aware of it. So I have to first make them aware. The first and foremost task which I should perform as an advertiser is that I must communicate, I must make them aware that, see, I am also there, my brand is also there. So the initial communication task of any advertising activity is to increase consumers' awareness. So whatever way, whatever modus operandi you resort to, your first task is to make your customers aware about your brand, about your offering. And once you have done that, the second step comes. The second step of communication process is comprehension of the product or whatever offerings you are making, and it involves the target audience learning something about your offerings. So they comprehend that specific advertisement. After they become aware, they start making a comprehension of that. They comprehend that, and in what way your product is different from the other brands available, whom it is supposed to benefit, whether it is for me or not, that I would decide as a customer. So this is a stage of comprehension, and there, if your message is being drafted in a positive manner, then of course I may find answer to my questions. If I ask to a particular advertisement campaign that whether it is supposed to benefit me or not, your ad must have that capability of communicating that yes, this has some benefits for you. The third step is the attitude, which was being called as conviction in hierarchy of effects model. So words can be different, but you must have been observing, my dear learners, that whether it is AIDA or hierarchy of effects model or Dagmar, the process remains the same, the steps remains the same. The only point is that some of the sub steps are being clubbed in different segments under the hierarchy of effects model. In AIDA model, it was very simple. In Dagmar, it was related to evaluation of the effectiveness of ad. So the third step is talking about the conviction, and the action phase of course involves some move by the buyer. And what movement we expect from the buyer? We want them to buy, that they must try us for once. They try a brand for the first time, visiting a showroom or requesting information. So either they would buy a particular brand buy your brand which you have advertised recently, or they may start making a query about your brand. And even if they are asking about the availability of a specific brand, it means your advertisement is working. At least you could develop a positive attitude in the mind and heart of your potential customers. Your job is done. So your goal was to not only inform them but to convince them. So if you have informed them, you have convinced them, there is no reason for them to stop. They would of course travel to the next step, that is, they will start demanding the product. So the important concept of the approach is that the advertising goal should be specific. You must be very clear that what is my goal, and once it is decided, of course you can achieve it. So it should be a, as I told you, it must be a smart one, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic and time bound. You should not set a target, set a goal for yourself in that manner which is not achievable. Your goal must be achievable, it must be realistic, it must be time bound. You decided you are setting a goal for yourself with one advertisement campaign which you also know that you are not going to achieve. What is the point of having that kind of goal? So it should be a written, measurable, task involving. It should have a starting point, a defined audience, and of course a time period, a fixed time period that I am going to evaluate my specific advertisement. So for instance, if I take example of a small advertisement given in a yellow page advertisement, the measurement could be the number of phone calls you are receiving before and after the ad was published. Suppose you floated an advertisement into a specific yellow page of in a month, and you started receiving calls, you got 20 calls, and those calls are in addition to your routine calls, then of course that is the impact of that specific advertisement. Number of referrals through yellow pages if you are getting. So the measurable objective must be written clear, and of course you have to ensure that there is no place for ambiguity. So my dear learners, we have to define the target audience. Not everyone is going to buy your product, not everyone is going to endorse your product, because they don't belong to your segment. So once you are floating an advertisement, you have to be very clear that what is my segment, who is my target market. So it is very crucial for you to identify your target audience to whom you are going to aim your ad campaign. For instance, if you are selling premium cars, so high end consumer, high value consumer durables, you should target customers who are actually HNIs, who are actually the sophisticated one. So if you are floating an advertisement on a particular TV channel which belongs to a program which is being watched not by the HNIs, there is no point floating that advertisement, because they would watch that ad, they would enjoy that specific communication campaign, but that would not convert into the action. So you have to understand that there is a selective attention, selective distortion and selective retention. If you ask if you show an advertisement campaign to 100 people and ask them immediately about the advertisement, not everyone is going to remember everything, because there is a selective attention, selective distortion, selective retention. If you ask anybody, no one is going to recall 100% about your advertisement. It can be 40%, 50%, 60%, but not 100%. So I'll tell you about this very component wise classification of communication process, that there is a selectivity among the customers, selective attention, distortion and retention. We acknowledge the the book of Marketing Management by Philip Kotler for all these discussions which we are making here. It is published by Pearson Education, and we are thankful to, of course, the author for giving us these many contents. So with this I am concluding today's lecture of mine. Thank you so much.